2001. The episode of SpongeBob SquarePants entitled Sailor Mouth premiered during its second season. In the episode, SpongeBob discovers some graffiti referring to Mr. Krabs as some kind of slur or profanity.
Yo, what's this?
Do you kiss your mother with that mouth?
Well, sometimes, but not recently.
We never find out what the word is because every time it's said, it's censored with dolphin noises. But judging by everyone's reaction, it's a really bad word. Not realizing that it's bad though, SpongeBob and Patrick keep using the word and referring to it as a sentence enhancer. It was a clever way to address profanity on a kids show, and it wound up being one of the most memorable episodes of the show. Of course, it also wound up being a controversial episode with the Parents Television Council saying that it was encouraging kids to curse. In any case, with every instance of the word being censored, people got really curious about what was actually being said. According to SpongeBob's voice actor Tom Kenny, they simply made up fake curse words, some of which were so funny to him that he had to lay down in the recording booth. But with the public never hearing what was actually being said, the uncensored version became a very coveted piece of lost media, one that most assumed would never see the light of day. All that changed with a massive breach to Nickelodeon's internal database, a breach that was referred to as the Nickelodeon Giga Leak. The leak included massive amounts of unseen, unknown Nickelodeon content, so for today's video, let's take a look at the Nickelodeon Giga Leak as well as the search for Sailor Mouth. This video is sponsored by Raycon. Mother's Day is coming up, and if your mother's anything like mine, the one thing she hates the most in the world is listening to the rest of the family yap all day long. What better way to solve that problem than with Raycon's everyday earbuds? You can tune out all the noise around you and listen to something better. I use them basically every day when I'm out for a walk, and their optimized gel tips make sure they're comfortable and stay in your ears even when you're running. And with 8 hours of playtime and a 32-hour battery life, they're sure to last longer than you can run. Most importantly, you get amazing quality audio at half the price of other premium audio brands. And say you got it as a Mother's Day gift, but all your siblings watch my channel and they also got the same gift. Raycon offers easy 30-day returns just in case. Just click the link in the description or go to buyraycon.com/wang. You'll get 20% off your Raycon purchase, plus free shipping. The public first learned of the Nickelodeon Giga Leaks in a 4chan thread dated June 27, 2023. The post explains that a year prior, the company's internal database was breached. All of the production material to their current lineup was stolen, including scripts and animation files. The assets were now being circulated in private. To prove this, the OP pointed to a page on the SpongeBob SquarePants wiki. It proposed a template for leaked episodes, noting the unauthorized release of the episode Arbor Day Disarray. The episode officially premiered in June, but it was leaked in its entirety a month prior online. Both the user and moderators acknowledge it had been obtained illegally. The 4chan post concludes, "I feel bad having this on my chest. My hopes are that, with this information known, it might reach Nickelodeon themselves and their security could be investigated, thus hopefully preventing future leaks of their shows from occurring." Of course, a lot of people doubted the authenticity of these files, which led OP to share this image as proof. When this didn't suffice, OP shared some of the leaked material. The first was a show bible for Transformers Earthspark, then 2 files related to the upcoming Rock Paper Scissors, which removed doubt that their claims were baseless. The thread exploded in activity as details emerged about the breach. Several Anons came forward with supposed insight as to how the breach occurred. They claimed it had been breached through the site Nick Central, or Viacom's internal archive. The latter was indexed on search engines and available through a simple Google search. People began attempting to brute force the password as word spread across social media. This is when OP started to face backlash from others in the know. The first was in response to someone asking for leaks of older Nicktoons. They accused OP of exaggerating the scale, claiming it was a few gigs at most. This Anon claimed that most of the assets came from newer shows that nobody cared about. Most of the Nick leaks are unrelated to this. There have been verified insiders leaking info about upcoming stuff for years. The show executives have begged corporate to investigate it, and they get ignored because stuff about some baby shows leaking doesn't affect the bottom line. This was reiterated by a Discord user claiming that 45% of what OP said was false. I don't know, man. Whoever it is conflating a lot of things and has some infos wrong. So I think it's someone on outside making shit up. They happen to be right in some cases, but wrong in others. In response, a mega link was posted with a collection of stolen materials, and they kept coming. This is when the story picks up on Twitter. On June 28th, a 16-year-old named Ghostly Tongue began tweeting about the Nickelodeon Giga Leak. Ghostly showcased a number of the stolen files, reiterating the 500 gigabyte figure. There were significant updates as to what was or wasn't in the files. But most interesting was this clarification. Update: SpongeBob's Sailor Mouth was not in the Nickelodeon Gigaleak, nor on Nick's servers. It's most likely on a physical tape and or destroyed, by the way. Please stop begging for it in my DMs. Before we go forward, it's worth discussing what was in the leak. Nick was following the situation closely and was monitoring both Twitter and 4chan. They DMCA'd material near instantaneously, and many files are blocked directly for copyright. There's only one known collection of this breach dated to exist: a 6.7 gigabyte file called nick.7zip. This is where the narrative starts to split. The Discord leakers were insistent that very little old or developmental material leaked. They claimed that at most only 50 gigabytes leaked. But nick.7z contradicted this, as it contained archival material for a lot of old shows. The list includes Doug, Rugrats, Ren and Stimpy, Our Real Monsters, The Wild Thornberrys, SpongeBob, Fairly Odd Parents, Chalk Zone, My Life as a Teenage Robot, Danny Phantom, Avatar, El Tigre, and more. This file is quite difficult to obtain, but its contents unearth previously unknown animation history. For example, CatDog. CatDog didn't have a pitch bible and was sold off an early version of the theme song recorded by creator Peter Hannon. While the original demo was released on his website, the final rendition was never heard in full until the leak. The pitch bible to Danny Phantom shows it originally involved demons and the dead. This contradicts later claims by Butch Hartman that the ghosts were never meant to be dead. Then you had the Patakis. This was a scrapped spin-off of Hey Arnold centered around Helga Pataki. It took place 6 years after the original show and was intended for older audiences on Nick at Night. This was also true of Nigel Thornberry's Animal World. There's a lot more examples, but I think you get the point. It preserved a lot of previously unknown material and provided a lot of insight into these productions. On July 3rd, it appeared that some people would be facing legal consequences for all this. That day, Ghostly claimed 2 of the people involved were rumored to have been taken down by the feds or Nickelodeon. They were identified by their Discord tags Bow Down and Incidental 70. These users vanished without a trace, as well as every server they belonged to. This escalated 3 days later when Ghostly issued a statement. Recently, I spoke up about the Nickelodeon Gigaleak, and I understand that it might not have sat well with everyone, but here's the thing. I'm standing my ground. What I want to emphasize is that I felt scared when some individuals tried to push back or even resort to doxing. It's disheartening to witness such negative reactions instead of fostering healthy discussions or simply choosing to move on. We can coexist peacefully even if we don't see eye to eye. The next day, 2 articles were published about the leaks. The first was by Cybersecurity Hub, who covered Ghosty's tweets. The second was by HackRead, who published a statement by Nickelodeon. We are aware of social media posts that alleged production-related files are made available without authorization, and we are investigating. The alleged leaked content appears related to production files only, not long-form content or employee or user data, and some of it appears to be decades old. The article also interviews Ghosty, who they ask about the leak's origin. There's no clear answer. There's only an estimation between fall of 2022 and January of 2023. And Ghosty also elaborated on the threat. It was a message I sent out as someone was threatening my livelihood and attempting to dox me. Ghosty speculated that this person was involved with the leaks, but declined to give a name. They continued providing updates undeterred until getting doxed on July 26th. Feeling deeply shaken and scared right now. Recently, I experienced a terrifying violation of being doxed, and now I've learned that my Discord token was leaked in 2020. The worst part is that all my Discord DMs have been breached and exposed. It's a nightmare I can't shake off. I fear the breach might have happened due to a bad actor exploiting permissions on one of the bots. I'm scared for my online safety and don't know where else my private information might be floating around. Taking immediate steps to secure my account, changing passwords, and enabling 2FA, but the anxiety lingers. Please, everyone, be vigilant and cherish your online privacy. The update stopped sometime in August, with Ghosty shifting focus to other topics. This, as it turns out, was due to Nickelodeon's lawyers. For Nick leaks, Nick has contacted me about it through their lawyers. I can't say much nor give files or tell you where any files are available. It's not great being the main person on a news article about a Nick hack. Not only that, but he revealed that the dox was revenge for hogging the leak. Plus, with Nick lawyers saying those things, plus being doxed heavily, it's not fun nor good for my mental health. I got doxed for hogging the leaks. It's not like I'm supposed to leak it even more. There was clearly more to the story. Far more data had been obtained, and people were lying about what they had. This brings us to some of the final updates Ghosty gave about the leaks. On July 30th, this title card was posted, purported to be part of the leaks. It reads, SpongeBob Water Plate Slow-Mo, and it's dated April 27th, 1999. Then 30 minutes later, Ghosty tweeted out a now private YouTube video. Apparently, some SpongeBob stuff, like full music tracks, are being posted online. The leaker or person connected to these Nickelodeon GigaLeaks has a YouTube video and has been posting the leaks since as early as May 14th, 2023. It was in early 2024 that bedhead Bernie, who brought this topic to my attention and wrote most of this video, became aware of a mysterious YouTube channel called Nautical Sponge. In many ways, it was innocuous, uploading memes and fan edits from the community. But hidden in between these memes were rare bits of SpongeBob archival material. The first clip brought to their attention was a textless upload of the theme song. Immediately you'll notice the similarities to the title card shown before, but just watching it is proof enough that this was the real deal. In fact, scattered through this and several associated channels, there's a cache of unmistakably genuine leaks. You got audio of Mr. Krabs swearing.
What's that music?
I think Mr. Krabs is gonna sing.
Oh, great.
If I could talk to money, how great my life would be. We don't tell you, fuck, make the son of a bitch a bee. I'm as for fucking nettered, and it got a son of a bee. As a fucking making son of a son of a face, but break.
You got footage of Patchy swear. Production music, outtakes, bits and pieces of everything. It wasn't limited to SpongeBob either. The channel also ordered the Drake and Josh intro without text, and the studio acapella to the iCarly theme.
I know, you see, somehow the world will change for me and be so wonderful.
The individual had clearly disguised themselves to distribute leaked content. And on November 28th of 2023, Nautical Nonsense uploaded lost footage from the Season 2 episode, You Wish. The Lost Media Wiki has a section describing how this surfaced. The recording is said to have originated from Discord, posted by an anonymous person with access to SpongeBob production tapes. They identified this person as Nautical Sponge, even alleging them to having uploaded it originally. It became clear that there existed a trove of archival material that was being circulated among private groups. Looking through tweets from around when the story broke, most of what's referenced can be seen in Nick.7z, but one in particular stood out for being noticeably absent. There is a 21-minute audio recording of Steven Hillenberg teaching an animator how to draw SpongeBob. The audio had been posted to Twitter but was no longer available due to a DMCA. This led Bernie to contact the user in private to ask for a copy. The user re-uploaded it to the Internet Archive, confirming its authenticity. When asked if they remembered when it first leaked, they pointed to a Discord user who ran the Twitter account @CartoonUpdates. This account had previously made waves leaking content from a variety of shows, like the Ren and Stimpy reboot. We formed this Discord server around the time of the leaks, and they joined this server. I think they have internal access too, and aren't just somebody who downloaded the leaks. They would also send a PDF containing hundreds of pages of SpongeBob production art. By this point, there wasn't even a video in the works, it was just cool to see all this previously unseen stuff. Then a few days later, the user sends Bernie this. I know this may come as a shock, but Sailor Mouth audio has been found. There's an interesting backstory behind this clip. Bernie was actually shown this same video months prior, but despite the source being trustworthy, you could never really be sure in this age of deepfakes and digital manipulation, so he was asked to see if he could find where he originally found it. It turns out that the file had been shared on a private Discord server. The actual file was dated on June 30th of 2023. In my view, this was evidence that the uncensored cut of Sailor Mouth had actually been circulating for months, and we now had a credible source to back it up. Bernie tweeted about this discovery on January 16th of 2024, where it caught the attention of a prominent SpongeBob-related account. I'm gonna censor their name, but it's someone who's likely to be in the know on this topic. I'll refer to this person as Bob. Bob expressed doubt, so they wound up having a conversation in private. He explained that he was familiar with the SpongeBob leaking community, and he was actually in a server with Nautical Sponge. In terms of Sailor Mouth Uncensored being a part of that Nick leak, unless they're lying about it, then they don't have it. I don't know why they'd lie about that. However, Bob conceded that the community was known for hoarding information. The thing is, these people have access to like everything. Storyboards, music, vocal recordings, but they don't dump anything. I don't know why. They have storyboards for practically every episode, but outside of the one Discord server I'm in, you'd never even know there was a breach. Bob then gave insight to the inner workings of the SpongeBob leaker community. The server in question had several different levels of clearance. The SpongeBob community in general is very gatekeepy. The way the server is set up, once you reach a certain level, you get access to some of the leaks, which is just so dumb, LMAO. Now here's where it gets even weirder. Bernie asked Bob about cartoon leaks, and he said he'd never heard of them before. Then Bernie sent the Steven Hillenburg audio as well as the aforementioned PDF. These seem legit. Granted, they could come from a real source other than the leak, since that stock thing would probably be used by merchandisers. I've definitely never seen the Hillenburg thing though, no mistaking that. It makes sense. But then Bernie sent the clip of Sailor Mouth. Never seen it before, but first impressions, the quality sounds a little different on the two lines. I don't recognize the other line from anything, so it could be real, but I'd remain skeptical. Bernie agreed, but pointed out that it's possible that it was simply spliced into the final episode. Unable to come to a verdict, Bob asked if he could send it to Nautical Sponge, as it would be hard to deny if it was real. Bob sent the clip, and he got ghosted. I think he's ignoring it. He's been sending things in servers since I messaged him. If I had to theorize, it probably is real, and it wasn't supposed to be circulating. And to be clear, this is just his own theory, in the same way that it's still only an assertion that the full audio is circulating. But it seems that even the leaker community isn't entirely sure what's in circulation just due to the sheer amount of breaches and exploits pulled on Nick. Shortly after, Bernie was contacted by another source within the community. He had caught wind of the discussion. I'll refer to this guy as Deez. This is when it became clear just how messy the flow of information was. Deez explained that calling all this the Giga Leak was misleading, because all this material originated from a variety of different sources. Some of that stuff was also from a site called Nick Central, where someone found an account for sale and was able to get access to show production material. What Nick Central is, it's like a site for advertisers. They go there to get references for their products, advertising, stunt campaigns, from what I've heard. That Ghosty Tongue kid really muddled everything when he kept claiming it was a huge ass Giga Leak, when in reality, most that got leaked was production assets from Nick Central. Some other leaks came from a site called shift.io. People could find stuff from that site Nick uploaded just by using Google.
Hold on.
Google's indexed results. It's insane how bad the security was. Deez also offered some comments about the Sailor Mouth clip. I don't think Nick would actually ever bother digitizing or archiving Sailor Mouth uncensored. Like when people say Nick has Sailor Mouth, I think they mean, yeah, some old tape sitting somewhere in the physical archives. Most likely, those clips you were given weren't from Sailor Mouth, but from random clips of crew members' outtakes during recordings. Most voice actors curse and shit during that. But to complicate things even further, he was also unfamiliar with the Steven Hillenburg audio. There could be more out there that people are sitting on. He also spoke about rumors of a rogue employee and a closed-door source that vanished. Most of these guys are given stuff from a guy that is very closed doors, from what I've heard. And he vanished when everything was patched. Rumors floating around about a rogue employee or something, but honestly no one knows. This could relate to other rumors that a former SpongeBob crew member once had the uncensored Sailor Mouth tape. But until then, the answer about whether or not this is actually legitimate remains inconclusive. And all we'll have is a 3-second clip of SpongeBob yelling "blow me." The clip went public on February 20th of 2024 in rather strange circumstances. That day, an account named Optigear posted the following. Hey guys, SpongeBob leaker here. Proof im image. Did not expect it to get this big, not gonna lie. Anyways, I might be in deep shit for this. But here's the link to my profile which contains all the stuff. Don't really care anymore, the damage is done. The tweet contained the link to spongebob.zip. It had a lot of the files from nick.7z, but there are a few additions though, such as a PDF in each part named Clown. It contains Ghosty's real name, and labels him as a mentally autistic hacker. It also contained the first known excerpt of Sailor Mouth, as well as a second previously unheard clip.
You fuckface!
This revelation went viral, amassing millions of views and over 30,000 likes. It also reached YouTube with the subject reaching a wider audience for the first time. The second clip is strange to say the least. It seemingly wasn't circulating, and it's difficult to place where it'd actually appear in the episode. There's speculation that it could be a completely unused outtake, while others suspect that it's just fake. And this is largely where the story ends today, with the verdict on whether or not these clips are authentic remaining unclear. The broader mystery of how much material was actually stolen from Nickelodeon also remains unclear, with it being entirely possible, maybe even likely, that we never get a conclusive answer. But anyway, that's all we know for now. If you like this video, turn on notifications and check out my video about other Nickelodeon lost media. I'm out. On October 27th of 2021, a user named Carl92 posted a 17-second clip of a mystery song to the song identification website, What's That Song? He described it as mid-80s, bad quality. Everyone knows that. Here's the clip. Was that the sound of a guy munching on a potato chip in the middle of that? Anyway, hundreds of songs like this get posted to that site every day, and like most of them, this one went relatively unnoticed, at least at first. A few years later, this small clip basically becomes the actual most mysterious song on the internet, and it seemed like every few months it would receive a new burst of popularity, in increasingly large waves. I start getting tons of messages about it, a subreddit gets made, and there's also a bunch of social media accounts now dedicated to the search. There's even a physical poster with a QR code. Like a lot of lost media searches, this one was a roller coaster of bad leads, false hope, and deception. But it was one that would eventually get solved, in perhaps the most bizarre way that one ever has and ever will. So for today's video, let's take a look at Everyone Knows That. This video is sponsored by Helix. Helix makes premium mattresses and bedding, custom fit to your needs and shipped right to your door. Everyone sleeps differently, so Helix has you take a sleep quiz to match your body type and sleep preferences. I'm a side sleeper, so Helix set me up with a Sunset mattress. The Helix lineup offers 20 unique mattresses, including their award-winning Luxe and Ultra Premium Elite collections, the Helix Plus, a mattress designed for big and tall sleepers, and the Helix Kids mattress designed for growing bodies and endorsed by child sleep and medical experts. Helix delivers your mattress right to your door with free shipping in the US. It comes rolled up in a box and it's easy to set up. And to make sure you love your Helix mattress, they have a 100 nights of sleep trial. You also get a 10-year warranty as well as financing options and flexible payment plans. And Helix mattresses are fiberglass free. I've been sleeping on Helix mattresses now for a few years, and it's some of the best sleep I've gotten. And the Glaciotex upgrade that I got ensures that I stay cool when I sleep. I love my Helix mattress and I think you will too. If you're looking for a new bed, check out Helix Sleep. Their Memorial Day sale is running now through May 30th, and it's a great time to upgrade your mattress. You can get 30% off an Elite or Luxe mattress, plus 2 free pillows, or take advantage of 25% off site-wide. Check out the Helix site for more details. This was a topic that I'd get tons of requests for over the years, and I kind of just kept delaying it because every time I started to work on it, I would get caught up on a different topic. Honestly, I'm kind of glad that I waited though. One of my YouTube friends actually just told me he finished a video on why the song will never be found, which obviously he can't put out now. That could have been me. But now that it's been solved, it's become once again one of the most requested topics for the channel. So let's finally get into it. Back to the beginning. October 2021. Carl92 makes his post looking for the song. To me, this immediately sounds like something 80s, maybe early 90s. But I picture it in a very specific context. Like I'm picturing a commercial or maybe a TV show where they have a band that's in the show or commercial and they're characters. It's diegetic sound, like I'm picturing California Dreams or something like that. If you've been following this story though, you know just how wrong that is. The day after Carl posted it, a user named Burst asked for a longer sample. Carl replied, "Thanks. Sorry, that's all I have." I don't remember its origin. I rediscovered this sample between a bunch of very old files in a DVD backup. Probably I was simply learning how to capture audio and this was a leftover. The thing is, it sounds somewhat familiar to me, or maybe I'm mistaken with a similar song. And though it wasn't going to be a too obscure one, I tried in www.ahamusic.com and also tried searching the lyrics, but my English is not good enough for that. I only understand something like, everyone knows that. You can't blank tell me the truth. Another user suggested this could be 90s or 2000s, and in that context, I can picture it being kind of like a boy band song or something. And there were so many of those groups that were made and never went anywhere. Carl replied that the file was dated as 1999, and he would personally guess that the song was from the 80s. When asked about the other files he has in this collection, he replied that they weren't related to this song at all. And when he was asked about radio stations, he said that he's from Spain, and it does sound like something that might have played on the radio there, but he doesn't remember its origin. A claim that many would come to doubt since the song's discovery, but we'll get to that later. Things start to get interesting when a user named Null4286 interprets the lyrics themselves. You can't only shoot in the stars, colors in the world are bright, everyone knows that, you've got ulterior motives. Tell me the truth, everyone should know. This interpretation of the lyrics makes people wonder whether or not the song could be entitled Ulterior Motives. A user named 7 Below Cipher found an album called Comic Book Page by The Cost of Living made in 1989. It contains a song called Ulterior Motives, but at the time there were no audio clips he could find. Later on, a user named Fatman69 would find the track on Soulseek, and it wasn't even close to the same style. Carl would ultimately disappear from What's That Song altogether, as the search sat in relative obscurity. But about a month after Carl had disappeared in early 2022, JK had uploaded it to their Lost Music channel, which, if you recall from my last video about the Brazilian song Find My Mind, the channel was since taken down by copyright trolls. It was actually this YouTube uploaded that introduced the image of a pink boombox that would become synonymous with the search itself. And this boombox would actually become somewhat of a mystery itself. People tried to identify it and eventually found their own. It's the Next Play Glitz and Glitter boombox, which seems to go for around $350 these days. Jay noted that this song in particular was one of the more popular uploads recently on the channel, and I can understand why. It's not just that it's a catchy song, it has that kind of familiar sound where you just feel like you've heard it before. And indeed, in those early days of the search, people would show the song to older relatives who were like, oh yeah, I heard this on the radio back then. An early breakthrough, and something that's funny to think about knowing what we know now, came when a user named Niski analyzed the audio spectrum on the song and discovered a consistent 15.734 kHz tone. This tone at the time was present in multi-channel television sound broadcasts in certain NTSC format countries, so the clip was almost certainly recorded off of a TV. Although it has different implications now, this reinforced the idea that it could be from a commercial or a TV show, or maybe even a music video. Of course, Spain uses PAL, not NTSC. Maybe Carl moved at some point, maybe he recorded this while he was on vacation, maybe someone else sent it to him. Doesn't matter, he's gone now. The song would get a bit more momentum in July of 2022, when a user named ExcellentAd497 posted it to r/lostwave. Although they weren't the first person to post it there, this post got a ton of attention. In fact, it was the most popular post ever on the subreddit for a significant amount of time, and a lot of commenters initially had the same thought that I did, that this is from a commercial. I don't know what it is, like even though songs and commercials, they're meant to represent actual real music, there's just something about them a lot of time that they feel commercially. And this one kinda has that vibe. And a popular lead involving a specific commercial would come up in JK's comments. Of course, these comments are gone now because the channel is gone, but thankfully they're preserved in YouTuber Shay Valley's really good coverage of this mystery. A user named Bloodhound claimed that the song was from a late 90s car
a game of
commercial,
cards.
and a reply from a user named Yin asked if it was a commercial by Celine, and he said yes. Another user named Glitch Ghost replied with more information. My dad's best friend since childhood worked for a car manufacturer named Celine. You know, from the people who brought you the uncle that works at Nintendo. From 1995 to 1998. I saw a previous comment mentioning the brand, so I asked him if he recognized the song. He said he remembers it, and remembers approving it for use in a commercial for a Celine Mustang partnership with McDonald's for their Big Win Monopoly promotion. He told me that the commercial was filmed and edited, but was never released on television. He said that it was a song suggested and selected by another employee who had a collection of songs that could have been used in advertisements. And he told me that he was trying to get in contact with the employee who suggested the song, whose name is Scott. I'll update later when I find out more. Glitch Ghost doesn't seem to have followed up, but Celine did indeed do a McDonald's Monopoly collab in 1997. But a What's That Song user named Kyle96 would contact Celine directly. They responded that they don't have a record of having used the song, but there is a possibility that it was produced in a commercial that they didn't make themselves, but had one of their cars in it. Although there was still some meat left on that bone, it was becoming clear this was most likely a wild goose chase. And ultimately, after the song was found, a Redditor named Lazy Example claimed that the Celine lead was a hoax of their own doing, just an offhand remark that they never expected to get that popular, but then the theory blew up when Shea Valley featured it. And this wouldn't be the only time that McDonald's came up in this search. You've also got the infamous Polish McDonald's hoax, posted by a now deleted user named Alan2237. Hi mates, I'm from Poland, and I swear I heard this song on the in-store radio at McDonald's around 2012. At that time, McD in Poland played many unknown songs in his restaurants, stylized in the 80s, and maybe even originally recorded at that time. Believe it or not, I remember in this song the singer hummed a simple to the main melody played on the synthesizer / bells. I'm sure it happened, but I don't remember at what point. I have no idea where the song comes from, but I can 100% confirm that it is real. It's definitely not a famous song and wasn't when I heard it. It's something recorded for in-store music and commercials. I also posted another song of this type on YouTube, and the song and his link would later be identified as Same Side by Starar. About a month after this post, he would return claiming that he spoke to a friend who works at McDonald's in Poland. Their friend found out that their playlist was provided by a company named Mood Media, and it was a mix of two of their catalogs, Ear Candy and Vintage Era, which contained about 10,000 songs of this style. And indeed, articles confirm that since 2011, Mood Media has been providing the music for McDonald's in Poland. Now, with Alan's account deleted, a lot of this situation is gone. But thankfully, a poster named Cotton Underground archived and recalled some of the story. Alan would claim to have contacted Mood Media himself, and then they provided him with a log file of all of the music provided to McDonald's in Poland. And a lot of these songs were found to be real but very obscure songs. Additionally, some of the songs were from a company named Nietzschean Sounds Library, which was interesting as a lot of people theorized that the singer for this song had a Japanese accent. But there were some things suspicious about this list. Particularly, although the date on the file said 2012, some songs on the list would be identified as being from 2018. Then another user named Annabelle S&D would contact Mood Media herself. They told her that they keep no such log files, and also they don't share playlists with third parties. Furthermore, none of the songs found in this log file were in their catalog. Their representative sat on the phone with her for over an hour trying to identify songs and just nothing. Alan would come to her thread claiming that they emailed him this log file, but he deleted it because he routinely clears out his email. Which, I mean, come on man, nobody clears out their email. People weren't buying his story, so he deleted his whole account. But there were still some interesting things on that list, as Annabelle pointed out in her post. Obviously, OP's story doesn't add up, and is completely disproven by both the company itself and the list. But the list is way too niche to be fake. Songs like Nietzschean Sound Library Japan, My Old Blue Car, were actually Nietzschean Library songs at that time, but aren't anymore. This requires a lot of special inside niche knowledge to be fake. So this list isn't 10,000% useless, but I heavily doubt it will help us in the EKT search. As with any lost media case, there was a lot of trolling, but this was one of the most high effort, time-wasting attempts, and the community would get extra vigilant about fighting off trolls. To the point where in one instance, a person who claimed to have heard the song in a 90s Flash game wound up deleting their account after doxing attempts and death threats. At which point, mods had to step in and say, hey, it's just a song. Relax. Of course, there were also some theories that the song was a troll in and of itself. Some thought that perhaps this was Carl92's own unfinished music, or maybe the song was AI generated, which I feel that some of the stuff I've heard in the past couple weeks, like that song I Glued My Balls to My Butthole Again, at some point I could see it being feasible, but not in 2021. I know that's only a few years difference, but the technology progressed so fast in that period. And people have attempted extending the song with AI, and the results are just like, sounds like Little Nicky putting his fingers on the record player.
I command you in the name of Lucifer to spread the blood of the innocent.
Of course, just because something's AI doesn't mean it's not fake. But Carl did have another proven good faith use of the site in which he had a song identified that turned out to be Sinking Stone by Souvenir. Obviously, hindsight is 2020, but I don't think the evidence really ever pointed to the song being fake. Of course, the song being real and Carl being a troll aren't necessarily mutually exclusive, but we'll get to that later. Throughout the years, the search would get a lot of big surges in popularity. As far as I can tell, after Jay's video and Excellent Ads Reddit post, the next big surge comes in the summer of 2023. That's when I personally start to get a lot of emails and messages about it. And that's when the
Haven't opened this
subreddits,
game
as
in,
well as a number of other
a month
social
long.
media accounts dedicated to the search.
Easily.
And it was during this time that the biggest breakthrough to date was made.
See.
So one of the most common methods to try and find these lost songs is to go through song registration databases.
There's been a
But for a
bunch of
song, like
patches.
everyone
I have
knows
no
that,
clue
or
what they're
Ulterior
about.
Motives, you're gonna get a lot of matches. But in August of 2023, a user named Hey Scarlet narrowed it down. Collectively, these titles got over 300 matches in the US database SongView. But Scarlet narrowed it down to between 1984 to 1988 based on the resemblance to other songs from that time period and the introduction of the multi-channel television sound frequency in 1984. This left just 4 songs entitled Ulterior Motives. 1. The Booth Brothers, Canadian, City Unknown, registered to the Canadian Society SOCAN. No personal or publisher information available. Searches on the Discogs database netted very scarce information, though matching names from the 80s did emerge, but in different genres. SOCAN, BMI, and Canadian label Unidisc were all contacted in regards to them. Corey Hart had a similar voice to that of the singer on the mystery track, and also similar guitar arrangements, and he was also Canadian. 2. Marcelo Romero, Philadelphia rock singer-songwriter who also played in New York. One of his former band's mailing addresses was contacted in relation to
Off the
him.
bartender,
3.
what the
Michael
fuck?
Barragan, LA rock musician who also played in Seattle. His publisher was contacted. 4. 3 R&B/funk/pop
What the fuck is this
songwriters.
card?
1. Preston Glass also worked in Philadelphia. He subsequently worked with Whitney Houston's producer, Narada Michael Walden. He was also based in the LA and NYC areas. Of the people contacted, only Preston Glass's publisher would respond. And in a follow-up post, Scarlett would notice that Christopher Booth's songwriter profile also had an alias, Christopher
Even
Saint. Ultimately, none of these people would respond to Scarlett, who began to think that the whole thing was just a hoax. Officially throwing in the towel in November with the post
Oh, no
entitled,
shit.
Things Aren't Always As They Seem. When I joined this subreddit in August, I earnestly believed we could find EKT if we just searched hard enough. I sure did. I checked through hundreds of entries in the songwriters database, pursuing what I called the PRO lead. And I believe the diversity of our efforts proved the song is neither there nor there. It doesn't exist. The irony is incredible that this person, almost immediately after joining the search for the song, actually solved it. They just didn't know, and now they think it's a hoax. Around this time, there was another theory that was growing in popularity, that the song came from a porno. Although it was largely not taken seriously, there were a few people who were very into this idea. We had a post by Bonnie Clip who outlined their reasoning in October, and a user in my EKT account in January. If that were the case, maybe that could explain why Carl disappeared. He realized where he got it from, and he was like, oh, I'm out. Don't want people to know about my pornos. But also there have been other Lost Wave songs found this way. And at that point, it had been an avenue that was looked into that much. Time would pass and the search would continue to gain a ton of momentum. As more articles were written, more videos were made, culminating in a big boom in February, with Kylie Bogley's video on the topic gaining 1.5 million views, and the song going viral on TikTok. With so many new eyes on this mystery, it was time to explore the unexplored. On April 22nd of 2024, a user named OneTruth5867 would make a post entitled, Don't Know Where to Look? Try these if you can. After a video store near him expanded its porno collection, he was inspired. At this point, people were tired of hearing about the porn theory, but he insisted that this vein was ripe for the picking, and nobody else was willing to do what had to be done. So, OneTruth spent a week watching porn. 65 movies in one night alone. And then, he comes across a film called Taboo 3. In Taboo 3, there's a concert scene with a band that sounds very similar to Carl's clip.
I'll be your friend, I'll be your man, I'll be yours till the end of time.
And in the YouTube upload, in the description, the music is credited to Chris and Phil Booth. And OneTruth remembered those names, because you see, user Taeon2 had added those names to the big master list of songs and artists. So, Christopher St. Booth has 86 composer credits to his name. OneTruth begins working through those movies. After 12 hours of watching 80s porno, he starts to get a little exhausted, so he asks for some help. A user named Southpaw Ball joins the Team Goon Sesh. The lads are watching pornos together, shooting messages back and forth, and then OneTruth steps away from the computer for a little bit. He comes back, and he's flooded with messages from Southpaw Ball. In the short 5 minutes that OneTruth had been away, He'd come across a scene in a 1986 film that Chris Booth worked on entitled Angels of Passion. And about 1 hour and 7 minutes into the
Is he
movie,
really
while a
trading me?
lady is getting dogged out in front of a giant Coca-Cola poster. There it is. There's that song that everyone's been looking for. Ulterior Motives by Christopher St. Booth and Philip Adrian Booth. That potato chip sound, that was no potato chip. That was the sound of a big 80s bush getting splacked up. I can only imagine Southpaw Ball sitting at his desk in that moment, crying tears of joy at having been the first person to climb this mountain. Perhaps the biggest lost song in the history of the internet. All the while in the background you got...
Wow, what a bitch.
Let me tell you, that 17-second clip that Carl92 posted, that was exactly the longest stretch of the song between moans. So he knew exactly where that came from. Perhaps he really liked the song and just didn't want people to know that it came from a porn movie, or maybe this was kind of a game to him all along. Like an ARG that leads you straight to goat.
I don't know what to
So
say. I
all
don't know
the
what to
people who
pick
got
here.
laughed at
Just
for
gonna go for
suggesting
red,
porn got to
whatever.
do their victory lap. You got memes about how Scarlett solved the mystery 8 months ago without realizing and then gave up. And you got people mad at Carl because if he had just admitted from the jump that it was from a porn, this would have been so much easier. You also had people wonder if One Truth was Carl. Because I mean, yeah, he did dedicate an inhuman amount of time to watching porn for the music, but there's so many of these movies. What are the odds that he would just stumble across the big lead just
YOLO.
through sheer force of will? He denied he was Carl. He said he's a 22-year-old from Canada and wasn't alive when this was made. And something else that got people's interest was that, strangely, the day before this discovery was made, there was a review written for this movie on IMDb. It even name drops Christopher St. Booth, citing him as the main reason for his interest in the film. Although at first people also thought this might have been One Truth, this guy has over 19,000 reviews on IMDb, many of which are porns. So it's not a fake account made for the search, but that timing is just way too suspect. I mean, what are the odds? Nudo Rising, though, points out something sensible. That with this person being such a prolific connoisseur of adult films, maybe someone had actually contacted him about the search, and it made him think of this movie. In any case, the identity of the song may be found, but this isn't where the story ends. Because it's not like you can just sit around enjoying music that's like, is an incomplete version of the song with sex noises in the background. I mean, I remember getting annoyed back in the day when I would download obscure wrestling themes and it would have crowd noise in the background. This is 100 times worse. I mean, honestly, I'm not even fully comfortable listening to the intro of More Human Than Human. You gotta get the full song minus the sex noises. But Christopher St. Booth had actually been contacted a number of times throughout this search, and he never responded. Could it be that he was embarrassed to be associated with porn music? Or maybe he was dead? No, actually, as it turned out, he was quite active on social media. And later that day, after receiving a flood of messages and comments, and then he posts this on TikTok. Wow, mind is blown. Thank you. Shall we release it? After looking through their archives, the
Gonna
Booth
yodel
brothers
this.
would find the original lyric sheet for the song. Chris posted it to his Instagram, and as it turns out, the line is actually, everyone knows it, not everyone knows that. The brothers, who as it turns out are actually twins, would do an interview with Miles Klee for Rolling Stone. How did you find out? Christopher, we used to work for Sci-Fi Channel like 10 years, doing paranormal documentaries. And we did horror movies for Sony and stuff. We did a documentary called The Exorcist File, about the case that inspired the novel The Exorcist.
He plays his own
And I was
reviews,
posting
but I don't
promo for
care.
that people started writing release EKT, or
just call
Ulterior
it here.
Motives, and I'm going, what's that? I didn't remember the song at all. That's 40 years ago. And then it got crazy. Someone sent me a link to your article about Lost Wave sleuths looking for the complete song.
It doesn't have it.
Then I heard
Oh, he
the
has it.
song and I went, oh yeah, that's us. That's how we found out. Philip, I have to tell you, on a human level, it really brought deep emotion and tears to our eyes to see so many kids singing the song, saying how
CBA
great the
mirror.
song was. There's just no better feeling as a musician to see such gratification for something. They discovered our names. Our phones started blowing up. Social media started blowing up. You know, we're not big TikTok followers. My daughter wrote me and said, Dad, I'm so proud of you. You're all over TikTok, and we're all singing the song. I thought, oh my god, what's happening? In the interview, they explained that the song wasn't originally intended to be porn music. They'd actually been making music together for a while, with their most successful project before being a band called Sweeney Todd. There wasn't a name for the project that Ulterior Motives was recorded for, though. They just wrote a pop song. In fact, they had a whole album written of songs like this. At the time, they were working in the film industry. No, like, not the adult film industry, the regular film industry, just as production assistants and whatnot. And a friend in the industry needed background music for porn. So they sold some of their music because that's one of the few
wanna do
ways a
porn
musician can
music.
actually make money. The song itself was actually written about a girl who cheated and lied about it. As for actually finding the full original recording, they're digging through 40 years of old tapes to try and find it. But if they can't find it, they're just gonna re-record it. Although, as Chris tells Miles in the interview, I might have to squeeze my balls to sing that high now. They also laughed at some of the details of the search a little bit. We had some people on TikTok and YouTube dissecting it, filtering it. Christopher: yeah, apparently I'm a Japanese girl. As of me recording, they've yet to find the full original masters. But in the meantime, they are working on their remake as well as a full 80s album. And I know that's something that some people aren't going to be happy about, but honestly, what they've posted so far sounds really good. Just looking through Chris's music posts, this guy is a beast, and I can't wait to see what they put out. I have the utmost faith that whatever these guys put out is going to be worth it. But anyway, that's all for now. If you like this video, check out my videos on the other most mysterious song on the internet. Maybe we can finally get this thing solved. I'm out.
Can I show you
Hi
7
everyone.
different AI side hustles?
In this
that earning
video,
people-
we're going to check 5 decades-old cold cases that were solved in 2021. Welcome to Mysterious 5. The first case on our list is the case of Annette Schnee and Bobby Joe Oberholzer. In 1982, in Breckenridge, Colorado, 2 lifeless bodies of 2 different women were discovered. The crime scenes were miles from one another, and the bodies were found 6 months apart. And yet, police believed that both women were killed on the same night, by the same man. The only thing connecting them? Orange socks.
He's
On
talking
January
way too
6,
slow.
1982, Bobby Joe Oberholzer, 29 years old, left home at 7:15 a.m. Her day had begun as usual, and she hitchhiked to work. Jeff Oberholzer was Bobby's husband. He ran an appliance repair business, and she worked as a receptionist. They had been
What is he
married for
doing
about
this?
4.5 years at the time of Bobby's death, and they lived in Alma, 14 miles away from where her body was eventually found. At 6:20 p.m, Jeff got a call from Bobby saying she was having drinks with friends after work. He asked her if she wanted him to pick her up, but she told him that she would get a ride home. Jeff made dinner and waited for Bobby to come home. At some point, he fell asleep. He woke up around midnight and discovered that his wife hadn't returned. Jeff drove into Breckenridge to look for Bobby, and her friends told him she left the bar around 7:30 p.m. They assumed she'd gotten a ride home. When Jeff reported to police that Bobby was missing, they told him it was too early to file a report. Finally, he drove back home to wait for his wife. The next morning, a farmer who lived 30 miles outside Breckenridge found Bobby's driver's license on his property. When Jeff and 2 friends were on their way to pick it up, they made a disturbing discovery. Something blue in a snow-covered field. It was Bobby's backpack, the one she always had with her. Next to the backpack was one of Bobby's gloves, spattered with blood and several bloody tissues. Jeff's friends helped him organize a search. 2 hours later, they found Bobby's lifeless body, more than 15 miles from where her backpack was discovered. She'd been shot twice. Her house keys were found at the scene. At the crime scene, police found 3 intriguing clues. The only footprints near the body were from Bobby. A plastic cord was tied around one of her wrists, and a single orange sock was found nearby. The same day Bobby Joe's body was found, another woman, Annette Schnee, 21 years old, was reported missing. Annette was a cocktail waitress in Frisco, Colorado, and like Bobby, often hitchhiked to and from work. Because of the similarities, both cases were immediately connected by the police. Investigators questioned Jeff about Annette. At first, he denied knowing her. However, after seeing her picture on the news, he recalled meeting her once. Jeff claimed he had once picked up Annette when she was hitchhiking, and he had given her his business card, but he had never seen or heard from her since that day. He also denied any involvement in her disappearance or Bobby's death. On July 3rd, 1982, 6 months after her disappearance, and 13 miles away from where Bobby Joe's body had been found, Annette's body was discovered. Police were shocked with the discovery that she was wearing the match for the orange sock. Jeff's business card was found inside her wallet. The prime suspect immediately became Jeff Oberholzer. Authorities tried to put together a scenario for what might have happened on the night of January 6th. Annette Schnee was last seen in Breckenridge at around 4 p.m, in deep conversation with an unidentified dark-haired woman. Police believe that around 5 p.m, Annette left to hitchhike home. The suspect picked her up and drove 20 miles south of Breckenridge. He took her down a small dead-end road where he assaulted her in his vehicle. While she was getting dressed, she forgot to put on her other orange sock and attempted to escape when she was shot in the back while running away. Police believe the suspect then drove back to Breckenridge and found his second victim, Bobby Joe Oberholzer. He drove Bobby 10 miles south of Breckenridge to a scenic overlook where he attempted to assault her. Bobby managed to escape from the vehicle where the orange sock then fell out. The suspect then chased her down the road and shot her twice as she turned away. Police felt the fact that Jeff Oberholzer knew both victims was more than just a coincidence. 2 months after his wife's death, Jeff took a polygraph test and passed. From day one, Jeff insisted that he had an alibi. He said that at the time of the deaths, he was at home visiting a friend. For nearly 9 years, no one could find this man. Then in December 1990, he finally surfaced and was questioned about that night. Investigators interviewed the man, who claimed that he had been at Jeff's house. However, his time and Jeff's time of the visit didn't match up. Jeff Oberholzer had always maintained his innocence and claimed that the suspect had to be someone that Bobby knew. She wouldn't have left with a stranger, especially when he offered to pick Bobby up. For years, the blood found on Bobby's gloves and the tissues with her backpack were believed to be hers. However, in the early 1990s, DNA testing determined that it came from a male. The testing also determined that the blood wasn't Jeff's. As a result of this and other evidences, including several alibi witnesses, Jeff was eventually cleared as a suspect in the case. Police looked into several other suspects as well. One was cab driver Thomas Edward Luther, who in February 1982 picked up a hitchhiker in Breckenridge, then beat and insulted her. While in jail, he allegedly bragged about being responsible for the deaths. According to his girlfriend, he didn't come home on the fateful night. He also lied to investigators and said he was at work at the time. The other suspect, Tracy Petrocelli, killed his fiancée in 1981 and went on a multi-state crime spree. During this time, he stayed at Annette's workplace, the Holiday Inn in Frisco. However, neither suspect's DNA matched the evidence from the crime scene. On February 24th, 2021, a 70-year-old man named Alan Lee Phillips was arrested and charged with the deaths. He was also charged with kidnapping and assaulting with a deadly weapon. He is currently being held without bail. Genetic genealogy was used to link the DNA found at the crime scene to Phillips. Investigators also suspect that he may be involved in other crimes throughout Colorado. Sadly, Bobby's brother, Kelly, and father Thomas have passed away before finding out who was responsible for taking her life. Next on the list is the case of Gail Barris. On October 9th, 1988, Gail Barris was spotted leaving a coffee shop in the early hours of the morning, accompanied by a man. This was the last time Barris was ever seen alive. She was a 30-year-old single mother of 3 from Michigan. Life was hard, and she worked at 2 different local bars to be able to survive and take care of her 3 children. In the early hours of October 9th, 1988, between 3 and 4 a.m., Barris was spotted leaving Speed's coffee shop in Battle Creek, Michigan. She was accompanied by a dark-haired man, and that was the last time anyone saw her alive. On October 25th, hunters from Emmett, a nearby town, made a horrifying discovery. They found a lifeless body of a woman laying on River Road. The authorities quickly identified the body to be that of Gail Barris, and an extensive investigation followed. Witnesses were identified and interviewed, and evidence was collected from the crime scene. On October 22nd, just a few days before Barris's body was discovered and almost 2 weeks after her disappearance, a 24-year-old man named Roger Plato was approached by authorities. Plato's car matched the description from a victim of a different abduction and assault case. At 4:30 p.m, authorities attempted to detain him at gunpoint while he was walking to his car at a parking lot in Bellevue. Plato became aggressive, refused to cooperate, and started fighting back. He was shot when he tried to wrestle the gun from a detective.
Boring.
Let's start with the strange and slowly work our way towards the most terrifying ones on the list. Number 7, the Russian Doomsday Cult. The Russian Doomsday Cult would make international news in November of 2007, when around 35 of their members barricaded themselves inside of a small cave in Russia's Penza region. And when authorities went down to investigate and remove them from the cave, the cult members would respond by threatening to blow themselves up. With some of the members even bringing their children inside of the cave, police were left with no option but to wait them out. But before I tell you how this all ends, let's first cover the origins of this mysterious group and how they got to that point. The cave dwellers were originally part of the Russian Orthodox Church, but they would end up leaving the church when a self-proclaimed prophet named Pyotr Kuznetsov convinced them that the world would soon be coming to an end. Pyotr would refer to his new followers as the Chosen Ones, which made them feel special. Pyotr would ban his followers from eating processed foods, watching TV, or handling money. They would also reject barcodes, national identification numbers, and passports, since Pyotr convinced them that they all contained the mark of the beast. But after some time had gone by, his followers began to ask questions.
Hey, Pyotr.
Yeah?
You know how you've been talking a whole lot about the end of the world and all?
Yeah?
Well, me and the others been wondering, well, when exactly is it?
Well,
What you mean?
Don't think I'm gonna grind to legend this time. Let's get rank 5 maybe.
May 2008. Yeah, May
This game has
2008.
become
Which was 6 months away. The group was then instructed to enter a small cave and patiently wait for the world to come to an end. The cult members entered the cave in November 2007.
I got
But
1K
conveniently enough,
wins on
Pyotr
every
would
class
not be
though.
joining them. Instead, he had convinced his followers that since the world was ending, they would no longer
I'm
need
glad I
their
got it
personal
before I had
possessions.
to
With
vomit.
authorities speculating that he was busy selling off his followers' belongings, he was quickly arrested and taken into custody. If only he could have predicted his arrest. Okay, I'll see myself out. The cult members would oddly enough still remain inside of the cave, and 5 months would go by with no one entering or leaving. But on March 28th, 2008, 7 women finally had enough, exiting the cave and immediately seeking medical attention. A few days later, a portion of the cave would end up collapsing, leading more members to rage quit and exiting the cave. With some members still refusing to leave, the police would have the brilliant idea of bringing Pyotr down to the cave, where he would instruct his followers to exit. But they refused. And on May 16th, 2008, the last 9 members of the cult would finally emerge from the cave, due to the toxic fumes produced by 2 of the members who had died over the winter. With authorities expecting their exit, they greeted them with a cow, since they refused to drink milk that contained a barcode. As for Pyotr, authorities would discover that the man actually slept inside of a coffin, further solidifying the fact that he was completely insane, where he would end up inside of a psych ward. Number 6. Shinrikyo. Probably one of the most infamous and dangerous cults to have ever existed. In 1987, this cult would make themselves known to the world when a few of their members orchestrated the deadliest domestic attack in Japan's history, leaving 13 innocent people dead and over 6,000 injured. But before we get to that heinous attack, let's first cover how this cult began. The year is 1987. A man named Chizuo Matsumoto began to distribute pamphlets, claiming to have reached a new level of enlightenment through meditation. The pamphlet advertised a yoga class where you can come and learn about his amazing discovery. But during these classes, he would spend his time preaching about the end of the world. And that should have probably been your cue to updog your way out the class.
What's that?
Nothing much, man. What's up with you?
I don't get it.
And over the course of a few years, he managed to garner dozens of loyal followers, naming the group Shinrikyo.
Oh, hold on.
Hey, what is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the
What
channel.
rights are you giving to
video,
Suno? And then what rights do you have? Language is so broad. That is what it says. They could, in fact, do that. I'm not trying to steer you off from using this platform, but keep this stuff in mind, okay? The last we spoke about Suno.
We got about a 7% pump. Yeah, that's a pretty sizable pump, but you know, when you zoom out a little bit, right, we're actually just respecting the ranges that we were looking at on last week before the holidays, just kind of preparing for those holidays in case we saw some crazy volatility. We had those bigger ranges that we were looking at that, if we got the bigger drop down, we had our key levels. If we had the bigger rip up, we had our key levels. Just to give you guys a little bit of peace of mind, right? If you start seeing that volatility, you at least have those levels to look at. And to be quite honest, right, we saw the rip up, now we're seeing the dip down today. And in the grand scheme of things, I'm gonna show you guys that we're just within those volume profiles that we were looking at last week. And we were actually able to take advantage of that in the premium Discord by looking for short setups at these key levels, guys, with the confirmations. And we're actually seeing that short play out right now that I dropped on Christmas Eve, right? Everybody's looking, oh my God, Santa rally, this is crazy, it's happening, right? But all we see is like, hey guys, we could just potentially be going sideways, right? And that's exactly what happened. We came up to that key level, which is the value area high, and now we're getting the drop to the downside, right? So I'm gonna break this down, hopefully give you guys some peace of mind and some, more importantly, context of what you should be looking at. Get off that 5-minute time frame, zoom out, and see the overall context of the market. We'll talk about the 2 ranges that we were looking at last week, which are still being respected, and then I'll talk about if something crazy happens, we'll talk about those, next key levels to the upside and the downside. Now, I am obviously still traveling here for the holidays. This is not the Frank Candle studio, but we will be back in the studio on Monday, back to our normal schedule. However, I'm not going to be able to edit this video, so it's going to be a one-take Timmy here. Yeah, they call me one-take Timmy, but we're going to be, bear with me here. I'm on a trackpad. Might be a little rough, but we're going to get through it. I got to get the sauce out there to the mafia, so without further ado, let's go ahead and jump on into the charts. Let's get into it. So, guys, when we come on over here to the charts, this is what we're looking at, right? Overall, here is our volume profile, or not our volume profile. Here's our overall consolidation range. Obviously, you guys know, we got that big move up. We kind of grinded up here. We have kind of this, sideways price action, right? And everybody gets so nervous on these dumps to the downside, not realizing that we've gotten massive rips up on Bitcoin, right? So, all we're really seeing here, in my opinion, is consolidation. Now, could this wind up turning into a much bigger dump? Sure, potentially, where, obviously we do have some key levels down here. Now, I am starting here with the daily naked points of controls, guys. These are very key levels, very strong levels in my opinion. I'm actually going to pull up some other naked points of controls as well. We'll pull up the weeklies. And we'll leave the monthlies off because they're super, super far away. Actually, I might as well just keep them on. But these are the naked points of controls, right? Right now, you can see we're just bing-bonging around on a daily naked point of control.
Bing bong, bing bong.
I believe last week at about $92,190. We actually had a long setup here on the premium Discord, looking for a bounce off this level, back up, and we'll show the volume profile in a second. This these 2 daily naked points of controls are confluent with the volume profile that I'm talking about. But we got the bounce from the daily naked point of control, moved back up to the next daily naked point of control. We came back down to the daily naked point of control, got a bounce, and now we are simply rejecting that same naked point of control. So these are the 2 key levels that we're looking at. Now, real quick, before I jump into the actual local analysis here, guys, and give you the context of the market and what I'm expecting next, I will just say, and this will come back into play once we talk about the kind of lower targets, but just really simply to start that off, if we do, right, now just remember, right, we are essentially just going sideways here, right, like, and I know it's not like a perfect range here, but you can see, right, like we basically just have somewhat of a sideways range, right, like we're just kind of bing-bonging around here, but if we wind up like breaking these lows, if we start losing 85K, something crazy happens like that, I will say, right, we do have some nice levels down here at about between, $82,000 and $80,000. So, hopefully we don't have to come down there, but I am just saying, like, this is an open doorway to come down to potentially see, $82,000 to $80,000 where we have these next 2 daily naked points of controls. And I will be dropping a tutorial, guys, if not later tonight, maybe in place of the live stream, because I won't be going live tonight, obviously, as I'm traveling, but I might drop, we have a daily naked, or a naked point of control tutorial that I will be dropping either tonight or maybe tomorrow. Let me know what you guys want me to do in the comments down below. But I'm gonna drop a tutorial showing you guys how to get these naked points of controls on your chart, which are great levels to be looking at for trades. And I'll show you just how good they are in just a minute. So those are kind of like the bigger levels, right? We'll end up losing 85K, $82,000 to $80,000 might be where we're headed, but we'll get a little bit more into that in just a second. But let me go ahead and pull up these volume profiles. And again, these are not going to surprise you guys because they're the same levels we were looking at last week. Oh my God, Bitcoin's ripping right into the value area high. We get the move. Oh my God, Bitcoin's dumping right back into a golden pocket anchored VWAP as a deviation below the value area low. We get the bounce back into the range. Once we get above that value area low, we look for price to get our move all the way through the range into the POC, into the value area high. Oh my God, Santa rally,
EMA so close now, the 50 EMA, 20 EMA.
Level of resistance, golden pocket, daily
on the daily
value area high, and the anchored VWAP from the high of our range up here. And this is where we were actually looking for short setups in the premium Discord, looking to come in here between about 98,927 and 100,671 with very specific confirmations into that value area high. We had our short box here, looking for those confirmations. We wound up getting them, and what happens? We get the confirmations, we get the drop back into the range, and the drop back down to where? the value area low. Super, super reliable trade. So shout out to anybody in the premium Discord. If you guys are interested in joining the premium Discord, you can check the link in the description down below. Not a signals group. I have to be very clear about that. Yeah, that is just basically what we've been seeing, right? Everyone's freaking out over the pump, and we're just like, well, hey, we deviated below the volume profile. We're probably going to go back to the high, right? Then we get up to that value area high. Everyone's like, oh my God, Santa rally. And we're like, this is key resistance, right? Now, there was potential reason to be expecting a bigger move up here based off money flow, but as you guys know, recently, money flow has been kind of choppy, right? It hasn't really been that reliable. It doesn't mean the indicators aren't working. It just means that, like, sometimes you're in an environment where it is going to be much better to just pay attention to the key levels. And one of those things I was looking at on Christmas Eve was on this pump to the upside was like, hey, well, you know, we got this acceptance back into the range. We came up to the value area high. If we're going to break out here, right, you know, we had our 90-minute money flow that was looking to cross over into the green once here, and then again, you know, yesterday it was looking to cross over into the green as well, while we were getting that daily green dot printing on Market Cipher B. And we know when you get that daily green dot and the 90-minute money flow crossing over into the green, that can indicate a much bigger trend up for Bitcoin. So that actually wasn't looking that bad, but, you know, throughout most of this bull market, we've seen this money flow absolutely get chopped up, right? 90-minute money flow comes up, and then it comes back down, and now it's coming back up. So, you know, not that I'm ignoring money flow at all. I'm still obviously paying close attention to it. But you have to, you know, I am putting more more focus, right, on the key levels, right? We had a lot of confluence up here. We had the confirmations to take that short. We were basically looking for
equality.
There were a few things we were looking at for, but for the most part, what we were looking for here, guys, for this short position was entry in or a push up
Then he
level
emotes
resistance, which was the golden pocket, anchored VWAP, daily naked point of control, etc. Right? With bearish divergences, right? Very, very simple. It's not that hard, or not. I don't want to say it's not that hard, but it's not that complicated, right? You want to keep it simple when it comes to trading, and this is pretty much what we were looking for. We're bearish divergences here. We got it on the 90-minute. We also got it on much lower time frames with some other confirmations as well. I don't just, you know, short bearish divergences, but we came up in here. We put some bearish divergences in. We wound up getting the pullback, right? And we get that drop down. And where are we looking for price to go here, guys? When we look for shorts within the volume profile, you look to take it from a high, get accepted back into the range, go down to the POC, which is sitting here at 98,173. Lose that POC, you're looking to go down to the value area low, right? And you wind up coming down here and hitting that level almost perfectly. Now, I am, as I'm traveling, I'm not actively trading here, guys, but I did actually, I am still holding my short position, or a portion of my short position, from about $106,000, which is much higher here. There we go, right? Holding from about 106,441. Took that short position. Do still have some profit locked in here. We're up about $4,200 on this trade still. This was another setup that was in the premium Discord from a while ago up here. Where we were looking for a failed auction up at these higher prices, again, in context of the volume profiles. So I am still holding that position. I'm going to lock in some profits here right after this video, or lock in some more profits, and I will continue to hold a portion of it in case we get the bigger drop down. But I'm not actively trading here during the holidays, so I did not take that fresh setup. But it was in the premium Discord, but a very, very nice little short position there, right? So with that being said, you know, hopefully this gives you guys context, right? We have our value area low here at 94,954, POC at 98,173, value area high at 99,639. Everybody get, you know, and people like to get emotional, right? On, oh my God, we're pumping Santa rally, right? We just look at this in the context of a volume profile, just like we were back here. Deviation below the low, everyone's getting scared. We came into our long zone. We were looking for bullish confirmations. We got the bounce back into the range, our move back up into the POC, and then back into the value area high, where we then got a rejection. Everyone's super scared. We know the context of the market is this volume profile. We deviate below. We wind up getting a bounce off our long zone once again, back into the range. Oh my God, Santa rally, we're going to 150K. We know it's just in context of our volume profile, where we position in the premium for a return back into the range and a drop back down to the value area low. And that is where we're sitting right now, guys. So, you know, when you see all this, you know, especially in a bull market, right? The thumbnails are crazy. Twitter's going nuts. You want to take a deep breath, guys. We're inside this volume profile. We're ranging sideways. Now, again, we'll talk, you know, doesn't mean we can't break out or break down. I'm going to talk about that in a second. But, you know, when you're able to recognize this is how you make money trading, right? Shorter term, right? You're looking for these confirmations below the lows, right? We got some bullish divergences down here just at first glance, right? Like, you know, I'm not saying this is exactly what we were looking for, but like just here, right? Deviation below the low, bullish divergences into your key level of support. At that point, very high probability and low risk trade here to take an entry down here, right? With your stop losses below your low. And then you're looking to target the value area high, right? So this is a very, very nice risk to reward. Very, very, very nice risk to reward. let me actually just adjust this, right? And this is how you can make money trading short term, right? Look for the long below the low, look to get into the range, fill the range, right? And that's where you're looking to take your final TP, maybe hold a portion of that in case you get a bigger breakout. And then once you come up to the high, that's where you're looking for the short setups, like in the premium Discord. And then same thing, the opposite of this, you would just look to short this, right? Down to the value area low. Very, very simple. Now, trading's not easy, but the strategies we use are very, very, very simple, guys. And anybody can do it with enough practice. But this is what we're looking at, guys, and we're taking advantage of this in the premium Discord, just trading these ranges. I'm trying to call the next huge move on Bitcoin, right? It's good for clicks, but very likely, we wind up in situations like this where we're ranging sideways. So that's the context, right? That's the local range that I'm looking at right now, just to give you guys a little bit of a peace of mind, right? Take a deep breath, right? We got to drop down. We're at the value area low. We deviate below. These are levels that we were at a few days ago, right? Like we dip below this low. These are levels we were at on Christmas Eve, or not Christmas, yeah, almost Christmas Eve, right? We were, we come back down here to 93, 92K. We were here a couple days ago, right? It's not that scary. It's not that big of a deal. And context is very important. So that's the smaller range I'm looking at. Now, also don't forget,
dude, he's so lucky.
If we get the bigger drop to the downside. Now, I want you guys to keep an eye here, right? We're bouncing off this golden pocket right now. If we lose this golden pocket, daily naked point of control, where are we going to be looking down to? Well, once you lose that golden pocket, you're very simply going to be looking down towards that 786 Fibonacci retracement. Where's it sitting? 90,362 is the start of that zone. Well, if we hide our local range and we bring up our overall major range, right, of all of the consolidation here, that range was really only pulled from starting right here. This is incorporating all of our consolidation here. This value area low comes in at about $90,416, confluent with that 786. So just to give you context here, I'm going to turn on that smaller range. We're bing-bonging around here in this smaller range. If we start losing this golden pocket, right, we're probably not going to get accepted back into the upper range. So we turn that off and we look at the larger range.
Didn't you realize here? Oh, no rush.
Probably going to be looking down towards this. Well, we'll probably lose that daily naked point of control if we come back down here, in my opinion. But if we lose that daily naked point of control, right, we're starting to lose that lower range, right, that lower time frame range. We're losing that golden pocket. We're not getting the bounce off the golden. We're losing the value area low, not getting the bounce off the golden pocket. Where's that next bigger value area low? We turn that local range off. We look at things in the grand scheme of the larger range. And in simple terms, you went to the value area high, you lose the POC. As long as we remain below this POC, this is what we were looking at back last week, I believe. Once we stay below this POC, we're probably going to have an open doorway to that value area low. But this daily naked point of control, the top of our long zone, is holding up good. But if we come back down here again and we lose this daily naked point of control, very simply put, guys, deep breaths. You have
Get out of my game,
786, right? You lose that golden pocket, which you can't see right now, right? But you lose this golden pocket, you're simply going to be looking down for that 786 retracement, which I would be looking for long positions down here. Even if we deviated down a little bit below that range, I will be looking for long positions down here. Now, back to the beginning of the video. If we lose this major range, where are we going to be looking down to? Well, we have the two daily naked point of controls at about 81.8 to $80,000. This is a big level of support. We start losing this. If you guys watch the live streams, we've been talking about this. This is just kind of a refresher, right? We come down to this zone here, two daily naked points of controls. We also have a golden pocket retracement here, a very important golden pocket retracement. Do I have it here on the chart? Let me see if I can pull this up, guys. Yeah, two daily naked points of controls, golden pocket sitting between 82,698 and $80,000. We want to hold that. We lose it. We simply look down to the next daily naked point of control, 786 confluence between, call it 76,535 to 74,935. We lose that. This is where I start to get a little bit concerned, right? But we're very far away from there right now. But I want you guys to have these on your chart. And very simply, before I let you guys go, I will just kind of talk to you guys about the upper targets, right? Again, money flow is a bit hard to read. I would say we have the 2-day green dot looking to print
one more game.
Right? But overall, money flow is a little bit choppy. It's very hard to take any kind of conclusive information from
make some food, guys.
right now, which is why I'm focused more on these volume profiles. These volume profiles have been absolutely hitting. Again, everyone freaks out. And we just look at this in terms of the volume profile. We know where prices
Elden Ring
next,
or
right? Oh my God, Santa rally because
Power of Exile or something
all the time, right? Like that's not a reliable way to trade, right?
Okay, see you later.
Technicals.